Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. Thanks for joining me. So a little bit of something different today. You have all been asking me to do a resin video and show you guys how I resin the top coats, do the top coats on canvas. Now you've seen me do top coats on wood rounds. You can find that in video number 106. I will link it up here at the top for you if you want to see that. So before I get started and actually prop up the camera on the tripod, I wanted to show you guys a few things. So when you're dealing with resin, so I use crystal resin. I used to use art resin, but no more. I only use this if I'm doing anything that needs to be food grade safe, because you can put food on this, but otherwise I will never use that again because it's stupendously expensive. So I am sticking to this awesome new crystal resin, Toronto based company. So I like to support local and in Canada. You can get this if you are in the US. Just due to COVID-19 though, they are halting deliveries to the US until July, I believe. Just go on the Crystal Resin website and you can contact the owner and they'll give you more details. But I certainly love it. It is a lot harder than art resin. It has a higher heat resistance than resin as well. So if you want to know more information and more nitty-gritty details, you can find that on the Crystal Resin website as well. So I really like using this stuff. The only difference is it's got lower working time. With art resin, I can probably get away with an hour. With crystal resin, you've got about 40 minutes, and then it starts to get tacky. But it's fine, because if you're just doing top coats, it should not take you that long to do that. So the other thing you need when doing resin is you need a mask. Unless you're in a very, very well ventilated area. Like, this doesn't have an odor, at least I don't think so. There have been times where my husband comes down to the basement, he's like, oh, it kind of smells down here. I'm like, oh, really? But yeah, I'm kind of blind to it. But please wear a mask. Even though a lot of things, even art resin says it's no odor, there's always an odor once you heat it up. So get yourself a mask, unless, like I said, unless you're outside, you're in a very, very well ventilated area, or do what I do and get yourself a Dyson air purifier. Now this sucker ain't cheap, so it's probably not for everyone, but I did pick up this Dyson air purifier, which is really cool. Here, let me plug it in. Sorry guys, I should have thought about this first. I can't do everything one-handed. Let me plug this in and I'll show you guys, for those of you who are interested. I'm not a spokesperson for Dyson. So, as I was saying, you turn it on, and I have it on set to auto. So right now it's blowing some cool air. It's testing the air and it's, you know, going green. Once I start to resin, it still stays green. It kind of moves up a little bit. Once I start heating the resin, this goes up to the red, full blast, which means it's detecting chemicals in the air and it is purifying it through the HEPA filters that are in here. So this was a very, very great purchase for myself. Like I said, it's not for everyone, because like I said, they're not cheap. I think I paid, oh gosh, 800 bucks for that. But my health is important. The health of my family is important. So, you know, it's, you know, not just for resin use. I can take it upstairs and, you know, purify the air upstairs. We do have 2 dogs, so there is occasional dog smell when they're wet from coming outside. But, you know, it's a good investment. Comes with a 2-year full warranty, so can't go wrong. Anywho, I've got here my beautiful triptychs and this piece. Those are spoken for, sold. This is spoken for, it's sold. But the magenta triptych is still available for purchase if anyone is interested in that once it's done. So what you want to do, I will show you guys. I have, look at that, so pretty. So the back is still taped. I still have my big push pins. I've already signed and dated and stamped it. Okay, so all that is still there. You do not want to take the tape off. Leave the tape where it is. Then what you want to do is get yourself a level and make sure it's level, which it is this way. Then you got to check it and make sure it's level this way. Now it could probably use, nope, this way. It could probably use a little pick-me-up on this side. So you can either leave it as is or get yourself a popsicle stick like I did over here and put it under where it needs to go so that your piece is level. So that piece wasn't level. I stuck a popsicle stick under that part right there and boom, fully, completely level. Again, fully level. So you want to make sure every single piece is level. So here I added a popsicle stick. There's a popsicle stick here and a popsicle stick over there. So, you know, my table's pretty level, but sometimes it's not the table, it's the canvas. Or it could also be the gunk that's on the bottom of these push pins, because let's face it, there's a lot of gunk under there. So sometimes that makes it unlevel. So I'm not going to be buying new push pins every time I want to do a piece of art. So this you can find in my Amazon shop. And what you need too is gloves. Gloves are a necessity. So I actually use 3 gloves, believe it or not. So the hand that I use to spread all the resin on, I actually double glove, because when I'm spreading it along the sides and stuff, I usually use my middle finger. But anyways, a hole will go through it and then I get resin on my finger. So I always double glove. And then the other thing you want to have on hand is isopropyl alcohol. Okay, I get this from Costco. If you can find anything that's 99%, power to you. That's the greatest stuff you can get. 97% is also okay. So you can do that as well. But you need that on hand. This is for cleaning off your tools, your heat gun, your hands, or anything that you got sticky that's not supposed to be sticky. When I'm done using my resin, I always wipe down the handles and the bottles. You don't want sticky stuff. You want to take care of your stuff. You want to keep things clean. And I'm tangled. Here we go. You want to keep things clean. So the other thing you need is a heat gun. So again, you can find this in my Amazon shop. This is a Genesis. It's got some resin stuck to it because I laid it down on the table and it got resin stuck to it. There we go. So this I've had for over a year. Yes, I've managed to touch in my beginner days the paint or the resin. But after every use, I wipe it down with paper towel and rubbing alcohol. I rub all of this down, make sure it's nice and clean. The buttons still work perfectly fine. If you clean everything, you shouldn't have a problem. So that is, I guess, the essentials that you need. You need cups. I buy these from the dollar store. I like these because they have these ridges. So you must measure your resin perfectly. So if I pour resin to this 4th line, then I'm going to get hardener and also pour it to the 4th line. Okay, so I'll show you guys that in a minute. And I've also gone ahead and marked my cups, because if I do resin and then I kind of run out and I need more and I need to make a new batch, I know that this was the resin cup and this was the hardener cup. You don't want to mix them. If I put resin in this one, then you don't want to do that, trust me. So I just kind of label them, makes it easier. I've also labeled the top cap of my resin bottle, because if you accidentally put this one on this one and there's resin on here and hardener on here on the lid or on the spout, and then you mix them up, guess what? It's going to harden on you and you're not going to get the cap off ever again. So I put the R, so I know that this is for the resin bottle, and then obviously that's for the hardener bottle. Let's see, you need an apron. Get yourself an apron for sure. I gotta fix that. That's driving me mental. I saw that in the last video too. Get yourself an apron, and this is a bigger cup so that if I'm making a big quantity, like if I make up to here, and I fill both cups up to there, I can pop them in here, stir it up. If I'm only making a few lines down here, I can then pour this cup into that cup and mix. So that way I'm not wasting a big cup. So in this case, because I'm doing all of these pieces, I'm going to fill these suckers up to the top line, and then I'm going to pour them in here and mix in here. So let me get set up and I'll get started, and we'll do a piece or two. I'm not going to do all of them on camera, but you'll get the idea. So I'll be right back. All right, guys, so I'm just getting my gloves on here. So what I've gone and done is I have put my resin, my resin in one cup, my hardener in the other. Now here's the difference. First of all, this needs to be at room temperature, at least 73, 74, 75, somewhere around there. I work in the basement, so it's always a little cooler down here. So if I know I'm going to be doing some resin, I will take this upstairs, maybe even put it outside where it's nice and hot today. If let's say it's winter time and you wanted to use it, it's not exactly hot outside. I actually turn the fireplace on and I put these not directly in front of the fireplace, but just where the heat's coming out, just to kind of warm them up. If they are cold, you will have a hard time using them. They need to be at room temperature. So keep them upstairs, you know, where it's room temperature, and if you're working in the basement like me. Now, resin, as you can see, is a pretty thick liquid. Okay, you can see it doesn't move so freely. Okay, now the hardener is like water. You see how easily that moves around? So what I do is I always pour the resin first, and then when I end up at the line that I end up with, so 3 lines from the top, it's so much easier to pour the hardener into the cup because it's like water. So it's easier to measure that than measure this, because this comes out in like a thick, really chunky blob. It comes out, but then again, if it's warm at room temperature, it's not as clunky, but it's so much easier to measure out and stop at the line you want to with the hardener than it is with the resin. Okay, now if I was still using just these cups and pouring one into the other, I would take the hardener. It says here, cold weather warning, ideal working temperature is 75 to 80 degrees. Okay, it says it right here on this yellow label, 75 to 80 degrees. Before mixing, make sure the product has accumulated to 75 degrees. Let's see, anything below 70 will cause more difficulty mixing, exactly what I said, as well as excess tiny air bubbles. So always pour your hardener into the resin. It says it on here. So because this is more liquidy, more like water, you would pour this into the resin. Okay, it's just easier that way. Now, because I've already filled them too high and I can't put one in the other, I'm going to use my big cup. So what I'm going to do is pour my hardener in first. I'm going to use my popsicle stick here just to scrape all the sides off. Okay, get all the hardener in here. All right, and I'm going to put this cup aside because I might need it again. If I run out of resin and I still need to finish some of these pieces, I'm going to need this again. So I'll put that aside, and then I'm going to take, you can see this? Look at that. Now, I'm not going to lie, this isn't room temperature, okay? I just came down on a whim and I'm like, oh, I'll do a quick video for you guys. So it should be a little warmer. I think my basement is 70 degrees. So yeah, bad on me. But you guys wanted to see a video and I had a few quick half-hour minutes or whatever, as quick as I can to show you guys this video. So I didn't exactly have time to let it heat up. But you can see it is a lot thicker than the hardener. So very importante to make sure that your resin, and so here it is room temperature. Okay, so you see how nice and clear it is? Yeah, beautiful. Now what you want to do is just mix it. You don't want to whip it. Don't whip it. Just slowly mix it. Now you can see, I'll show you in a sec, as I'm mixing, it's now getting foggy. Okay. Sorry, I got a phone call and my phone stopped recording. So anywho, as I was saying, it gets foggy, okay, which is normal, don't panic, all right? But as you continue to mix it, it will clear. It'll go back to clear. So what you want to do is make sure you scrape the sides. You got to make sure you get the sides. And then you want to scrape your popsicle stick as well, because there's always that extra little stuff from when you scrape the other 2 cups. Scrape your popsicle stick, and now see how it's all here on the edge? You want to scrape the edge and then continue mixing. I cannot stress enough how important it is to mix your resin properly. If you undermix it and don't mix it for enough time, I believe you have to mix it for about 4 to 5 minutes. So I time it with my watch. I just look at my watch. I'm like, okay, 3 to 4 minutes, sometimes 5, depends. If you're doing a small little amount, 3 minutes, 4 minutes should be good. If you're doing a really big amount, you're gonna have to do it for a lot longer than that. So I'm gonna continue mixing, and I'll be back, because you don't need to see me mix for 4 minutes. So I'll be back. Okay, so I've changed the camera angle so you guys can see the first canvas here. Now I've mixed this up for about 4 minutes, and it's got a million little bubbles in it, which is fine. Don't panic. Those will all disappear with the heat gun, okay? Now, if you have studio lights or like one of those ring lights, or don't have one, maybe you should invest in one. The ring lights are probably perfect. So here, I'll turn my studio light on, and you see a big difference. Now, the studio light is super duper important for when you put the top coat on, and then you get the glare from the light, and it's kind of like a mirror image when you kind of look at it from the side, like down here, and you can see if there's a fluff, a hair, a speck, or anything. Without this bright white light, you can use maybe like your flashlight or something. I'm not really sure, but if you can invest in a small ring light or anything bright that's got a bright light to it, get one, because if you're going to be using resin and you want to make sure you don't get any fluffs or anything like that, you are not going to see them with the naked eye just under your like pot lights or just regular lights. You can do it if you have like sun coming through your window and you can catch the sunlight glare, even that's fine too. But I'm in the basement, so sun down here is a minimum. So what you want to do is just take your hand and make sure that your piece doesn't have any dust, fleck, specks, dust, or whatever. I'm going to add my second glove now onto my right hand, because I'm going to be using it to spread around the paint. Now, in the title, it says how I resin or how I top coat. This is not this isn't the way. Other people have different ways of doing things. Other people use spatulas. I don't even know, okay? This is how I do it. This is what works for me. I don't want to hear, oh, so-and-so does it this way and so-and-so doesn't do that. She does that. Well, that's great. Good for them. This is how I do it. This is what works for me, and you guys all wanted to know, so I'm doing a video. So yeah, this is what I do and how I end up with the results that I get. Different resins are also different. I know in the US, a lot of people use KS resin or whatever, stone coat or whatever. I've never used those, so I can't really say how to use those or how that affects when you do a canvas. So I've cleaned the surface. I know it's level. I've mixed this for about 4 or 5 minutes. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pour a bead of resin all the way around. Now what I wanna do is I'm just gonna take it and push it against the edge and over the edge, and then I'm going to rub my fingers and make sure the edge is fully covered. Now I'm gonna keep doing that. I don't know if you can see that very well. So again, I'm just taking a bit from here and I'm pushing it over the edge and I'm rubbing it to get my edges covered. A lot of people ask me, do you do the edges? Yes, I do. I do the sides, edges, call them whatever you want. Okay, I do the sides. Some people don't like to. They'll tape the sides off and kind of do like what's called a dome effect. I don't like that. If you're gonna resin the piece, why not just resin all of it? Why would you want a nice, beautiful top coat and then the sides to look dull? But again, total preference, right? So I'm pushing it over the edge. Oh, you can see that. That's great. Pushing it over the edge, and then I'm just using my finger, because when you use your fingers, you can feel where the canvas is dry. See, I'm not even looking right now. I'm actually looking up at the camera. I can feel with my finger that this whole side, all the way across, boom, is covered in resin. You can feel it. If you're using a spatula or like a plastic credit card or something like that, you're not gonna feel that. This is why I put 2 gloves on, and let me tell you guys, it actually feels good. It's like gooey stuff on your fingers. But I use my fingers. I find it works so much more effectively. You can rub it in better. Oh, speaking of rubbing things in, I don't know why I thought about this. If you have silicone in your paint, shame on you. Don't use that stuff, guys. Silicone is horrible. I know a lot of artists use it. I know there's a way you can clean it off with cornstarch and soap and Dawn and dish detergent, blah, blah, blah. Do you have any idea how much work it is to clean off a canvas with silicone? I hear horror stories of people using silicone and then spending days and multiple 3, 4, 5 times cleaning their canvases. So right now I'm just kind of pushing the resin around and getting any spots. I wonder if I could show you. I would have to literally grab the camera, but there's a bare spot there and I can see it because the light is shining down. So I can see where the bare spots are. I lost my train of thought. So, oh, and they spend all this time cleaning off the silicone oil from their pieces. And then when they go to resin, there's divots or dimples as they call them. And that's because there was a part on the canvas that wasn't cleaned properly and there was still silicone residue. And lo and behold, you've not ruined the piece, but you're gonna have to spend a lot more time now sanding it, cleaning it again, and putting another layer of resin, which means another layer, which means more money. The more layers you put on top, the more money this is gonna cost you because resin is not cheap. Okay, so I've done all the sides, yep. And now I'm just going across with my finger, making sure that every single part has been covered, okay? Now, if you've added too much resin and as you're going, it's pooling on your finger, I literally just take it, scrape it back into the cup. I swoop it, scrape it back into the cup. But in this case, I didn't do that. I usually do actually, but not in this case. I did pretty good. And so now it's all covered. There's air bubbles in there. There's no way I can show you that without touching everything and getting resin on my iPhone, which isn't happening. So now what you need is your heat gun. I put mine on high and I start at the top and I slowly go and I work my way down, popping all the bubbles, making it fluid, making sure it's pushed over all the edges, and then that's it. So let's do that. Don't leave the heat gun in the same spot for too long. You want to continuously move the heat gun because you can and you will burn the resin. And trust me, you do not want to burn the resin, okay? Because that's really gonna suck, okay? And now I have a glass-like finish, but there's a spot here that I missed. So I'll take and drip a little extra right here, take my heat gun again, blow those or pop those little bubbles out there. And now it's perfect, okay? I will show you guys a close-up when I'm done and I can take my gloves off. So now I will kind of look here to the side like this with the light coming down with my studio light. And I will look now at the reflection and I will see if there is one speck. Oh, look, I missed a spot right there. There is a bare, even though I rubbed my fingers all the way across this, it does happen. You can get a bare spot. And this is why a bright light is imperative to have. I did not see that with the naked eye. You cannot see that. But when you bend over here to the side and look over to the side and you catch the reflection from the sunlight or your studio lights or a ring light or any sort of bright light, you will see if there is a hair, a dog hair, a cat hair, any kind of hair in there at all. And in this case, it is flawless. So I would do the rest. I'll do this one too, and I'll show you guys this one. Or maybe I won't. It's going to be a really long video if I do. So yeah, no, I won't. But you get the idea, okay? I don't need to do two. I did one, so that should be sufficient. But when this is dry tomorrow, I will show you guys how I take the tape off the back and add that to the video as well. Now, a lot of people say, do you do one coat or two? I typically do one coat. If tomorrow morning I come down and something has landed in it, then I have no choice. I have to do two coats. But if I come down tomorrow and it's completely perfection, then I'm gonna leave it as is. However, if this is a triptych, if one of the other pieces got something that landed in it, then I have to do all of them the same. Because when you do a second coat, it adds a second layer over the edges. It perfects the edges more. It's up to you, your choice. I think this is perfect the way it is. I don't do a second coat. You know, I don't think it's necessary. If I end up doing a second coat on everything, then it's going to cost you, the buyer, a little more money because now there's a second coat of resin on it. So to keep costs down, I just do one coat. As long as it's flawless, there's not a speck or a hair or dust in it, there's no need for another coat. I will show you guys a close-up and you'll see what I mean. If this dries the way it will tomorrow, which it should, then there'll be no issues. So let me take off my one glove so I can stop recording and I will show you guys a close-up, okay? So let me just turn on my little remote here and I'll be right back. All right, so before I show you the close-up, I want to show you something else. A lot of people ask, how do I prevent all this fluff from getting on my wet stuff? You can either get yourself some shelving and get a plastic tarp from like the dollar store. And I literally pull the tarp around and I clip it and you close it, okay? And there's your dust-free zone, okay? I've got my Loli Veffy silicone mats for drips. There's my turquoise piece drying, or my cobalt blue, I mean, and just, you know, some skins and stuff like that. So you can get yourself shelving and then get some, like a painter's cloth and wrap it around. Or you can get yourself what's called a picnic, like a food net. I have them listed in my Amazon shops. The link is listed in the description below. This one's a pretty big one. I can put like a 12 by 24 under here. So it's pretty simple. They fold up really, really small. It's kind of like an umbrella. Okay. I'll try and I'm totally doing this one-handed. But you just pull the rope. Sorry. You pull the rope and it opens up. Okay. It comes in multiple sizes, rectangular, square, circle, all kinds. So you can do that. I don't really use this because I can't really put that on this table. When I resin at night. Okay. I resin, I pack up, everybody goes to bed. Nobody comes downstairs. Nothing happens. There's no one walking through here. So the odds of me getting dust on anything are slim to none. So it doesn't happen. Now, here's my studio light. Again, I get these off Amazon. I have 2 of them. I use these for recording. Now, this is what I was talking about. You see the glare? Here, you can't see anything. If there's a speck of dust in there, you ain't gonna see it. With the glare though, when you go down like this, you just scan across your piece, and if there's something wrong, you will see it, okay? Believe me, I know it's probably hard to see here with the camera and everything, but you will see it. If there's a speck of anything in there, you will see it in the glare, which is why it's so important to have a bright light. Now, if you find something in there, I have a pair of tweezers. You just literally pick it out with the tweezers and then it'll level itself out. If it doesn't, just take your popsicle stick, drizzle a little more, then put the heat gun on to pop the new bubbles, and you're good to go, okay? So that is how I resin my canvases, how I do it. You can do a second coat. You'll get more of a bubbly dome effect over the edges. Okay, you can see here it's a little ripply. Okay, so you can add a little more resin. Okay, and fix that, or just leave it as is. As long as, like, I mean, this is my personal preference, guys. It's not the right way. It's not the wrong way. As long as the surface is beautiful, shiny, no bumps, no lumps, no hairs, no nothing, to me, it's fine, okay? You can definitely add a second coat if you like. Again, more resin. It's going to cost you more money. So, you know, that's just how I do it. But again, you can definitely add a second coat. And here, I think I do. I'll show you. I did on this blue piece, I had to do a second coat because the next day there was a fluff, unfortunately. So I had to do a second coat. So you can see here that the edge is a little different. Okay, so tomorrow morning when I wake up and I come down, if I think that that doesn't look good enough to me, I will add a second coat. But for now, it's okay. But I did add a second coat on this one. Now, can you see a real big difference? I don't know. It's really up to you, you know, if you want to add a second coat or not. It's really your decision. But just keep in mind, resin ain't cheap. So I think that's it. I'm gonna, you know, stop recording. I will come back tomorrow and I will show you guys how to peel the tape off the back when they're dry tomorrow morning. Okay, so for now, take care and I'll be back in the morning. Ciao. Hey guys, welcome back. So it is the next day in the morning, so just about 24 hours later. And all my pieces are dry and perfect. So I'll show you guys the yellow one. Perfect shine. Not a thing on it, not a speck on it. And again, you want to use your studio light or some sort of bright light to just catch the reflection and make sure that there's no divots, no spots that you missed, no hairs, no nothing. So in this case, mine all ended up pretty perfectly. Look at that. Oh, wait till you see this out in the sunlight. It's going to be gorgeous. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, what you want to do is avoid touching, even though it's dry, avoid touching it with your bare hands. Put on a pair of gloves. Don't touch the top. You will get fingerprints on it. You see that right there? Let's see if you can see that. I kind of got a fingerprint in there. So I'm just going to use my shirt and kind of rub it off. You really don't want to be putting your fingers there. Now it's gone. Don't put your fingers on it. Get yourself a pair of gloves. You do have oils on your fingers, so you don't want to put that on the canvas. But yeah, so I will show you guys how to get rid of this stuff. So I'm going to prop up the camera on a tripod and I'll be right back. All right, guys, I'm set up here. So I've got a glove on. So what you want to do is, first of all, actually, happy Canada Day to everybody who is in Canada. It is Canada Day. Today is Wednesday, July 1st, and it is a holiday here. So happy Canada Day to my fellow Canucks. Okay, so I want to take off all the push pins, and you can see this is what I meant by gunk sticking to them, right? So this is just resin. You can just peel it right off. There you go. And then just keep reusing the push pins. You don't want to be using new ones all the time. They peel off pretty easily. That one came out really good. So, and then just put them back, and I just put them in a cup. There you go, push pins done. I love peeling this stuff off. It's so satisfying. You could actually probably use these like in an abstract piece, but anywho, so this is the back. All right, so what you want to do is grab your heat gun and you want to blast a side at a time. So I'm going to put it on high and I'm going to go across the top here. Just going to let it heat up for a minute. All right. Nice and warm. And that's it. It's always best to try and take the tape off 24 hours or so later. It's always the easiest. And look at that. It just peels off. It's so satisfying. Look at that. Look how clean that is. Now, see here, it's getting a little hard to pull off the edge. You could always just reheat it a bit more and then it'll come off easily. So look at that. Perfectly clean edge. Perfect. Perfection. So now we're gonna do this side. Move this here. There you go. And just move your way along. Don't leave it at a standstill. You don't want to burn anything, although if you burn the tape or anything on the back, it's not the end of the world. But I'll do this side as well. I typically do 2 sides at a time. Okay, and this will peel off nice and easy as well. Just like so. If you find, okay, you see that? I was just about to say, you see how the tape ripped a little bit? So I didn't heat it enough, but that's okay, because you could just still peel it off. See, it comes off, right? But if you heat it a little bit more, it comes off. The more you heat it, the easier it comes off. Okay, I'm gonna heat the last side over here and we'll be done. So you notice I'm wearing my gloves. See, my hand is touching the side. You don't want oily palm prints or fingerprints on anything. So wear gloves to avoid that. And when you're pulling, don't pull that way, because you might pull the resin off and the painting off with it, and you'll pull it off the side. So either pull completely straight up or down, but I prefer straight up, because even if you pull down, sometimes the tape rips. Just pull completely straight. Don't, whatever you do, don't pull towards the painting. You could risk pulling off the resin with it. And there you have it. Look how clean the back is. Perfect. So now it's ready for my stamp and my signature. So let's see here. Let me see if I can move this stuff over. I will show you guys. A lot of people ask me about my stamp, so I shall show you. But for safety purposes, because there's a bunch of resin and junk on the table, I'm just gonna put this tissue paper down, because I sure don't want to put my freshly resined piece on the tissue, on the actual table. Now I'm just trying to think of which way the composition was. I don't want to stamp it without knowing which way the composition went. Anyhow, I'll stamp it after. But here, I'll take these off for a second. This is my rubber stamp. A lot of people ask me where I got it. It says Kanella Ciraco Art, created with love. It's a self-inking, not self-inking, sorry, it's a rubber stamp. I got it at a local business supply store. So my old work, we dealt with a office store, and they would supply our paper for us, our paper clips, our pens, our pencils, all that stuff. So I contacted them and said, hey, can you make a rubber stamp for me? And they did. So check out any like local, you know, business, office supply stores. And then I just bought an ink pad. That's it. So an ink pad with my stamp. I'm trying to think which way this composition went so that I could show you guys. Look how pretty it is. I can't wait to put this out in the sunlight. Hold on, I'll be right back. One sec. Okay, so I had it right. I had to go into my phone and look at a picture of it and see. So it goes this way. So what I do is I just turn it over. I take my stamp And you can stamp it on the wood if you want. I like to stamp it on the actual canvas. So I will stamp it smack in the middle, just like so. And then I take a Sharpie. It does not bleed through to the other side because you have loads of paint on the other side anyway. And then I just sign it and put 2020. So that's it. And this is ready to go. So I'll wait a few days for it to fully cure because it has only been 24 hours. Okay, so there you go. Pretty cool. I'll wait a few more days and then it'll be off and sent to the new owner. I will try my best to do a video on how I pack and ship my stuff. That'll be a video for the future. But that's it, guys. That is the basic how to put a top coat of resin on canvases. Now, this is my how to, okay? This is how I do it. It works well for me. It keeps costs down. It keeps, you know, costs down for you guys to purchase the pieces by eliminating 2 to 3 coats of resin. So when this is flawless and there's nothing on it, I don't want to risk putting a second coat on. And then what if the second coat got a hair in it? Oh, now you have to sand it and do a third coat. So now you've got 3 coats on it. So if your first coat came out perfectly fine and there's not a single thing wrong with it, leave it. Don't touch it. It's fine. So, you know, it's just a top coat. You're not using it for coasters or anything like that. You know what I mean? So that's it. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section below. I will do my best to answer your questions. I don't think I missed anything, but if I did, again, ask me in the questions in the comments below. And I really hope this video was informative. If you're looking for crystal resin, the information is listed below as well. For the US, please keep in mind, again, due to COVID-19, they won't be shipping out till July, which is July now. So contact them on their website. Please be patient with them. They're very busy, just like everybody else. If you haven't heard from them in a day or 2 or in a week, just be patient. It's only 2 people in this company, okay? It's not like Vistaprint or, you know, Art Resin where they have workers and a whole slew of staff. It's just 2 guys who sell crystal resin. So just be patient with them, guys. And I think that's it. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Here, I'll show you guys the magenta one. Oh, look at my reflection. So this one dried really cool too. So in my next video, I will show you guys all these pieces out in the sunlight. But this one's dry too. Look how pretty that is. This one is sold as well. But very, very happy with all the results. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to hit 100K. There's going to be a huge giveaway happening when I hit 100K. So stay tuned for that. But you cannot win and you cannot be part of the giveaway if you're not subscribed. So click on that little icon in the bottom right-hand corner and subscribe to my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Everything else is listed in the description below. The Amazon links to buy the products, my PayPal link for anyone who would like to donate to my channel. For those of you who have, thank you so very much. It's very helpful. It helps me continue doing videos like this for you guys. And I think that's it. Happy Canada Day to my fellow Canadians. I hope you guys all have a safe and happy holiday. It's a scorcher out there, a beautiful hot day. So thank you so much for watching. And until next time, have a good day, have a good night, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye.